You know, it's one of the craziest campaigns I ever seen in American politics is when millionaires like AOC, Robert Reich, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren get up and they say, tax the rich constantly. But when we show data, which I'm going to show you right now, you're going to be blown away by this. You ready?
All right, Patrick Bet-David, who of course is the host of the Patrick Bet-David podcast, a podcast Cenk and I have both been on, put out this video trying to debunk the narrative coming from the left in regard to how we need to tax the rich. Before we get to more of the video, I just want to note, I don't think that AOC is a millionaire. The others listed, I think, might be. I know that Bernie Sanders made $1 million off of a book he wrote following the 2016 presidential election. Elizabeth Warren, I'm pretty sure, is pretty well to do. I don't think AOC is rich.
No, unless something happened drastically in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
No, it's not fake. She was an actual bartender when she won Congress. She's not anywhere near a millionaire.
Wow, wow, wow. Did they come to the defense of AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? They just, I don't think she's a millionaire. Not yet, she's not. What does she be in office now? 3-4 years? Making almost $200,000 plus all the perks? Eventually, folks, eventually, she's going to be a millionaire. She's going to walk out with millions upon millions of dollars. So don't give me none of this crap out there. She's not a millionaire yet. But the others, oh yeah, by the way, Bernie BS, he made $1 million off of his book. I mean, $1 million. That's not really $1 million anymore. It's more like 1,000 or something, after you pay taxes. Taxes, Bernie. Charitable giving's basically zero. And his wife's got a job that she doesn't deserve, hundreds of thousands of dollars. They've got, 3 or 4 houses worth millions of dollars, cars, boats, all kinds of things. And yet Bernie basically is out there, go after the rich pay their fair share, go after the corporations, all this crapola. It's unbelievable, folks, absolutely incredible. Anyways, we want to welcome you, everybody. This is Dr. Nasir here for the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. What's on tap for today? Well, I'm going to give you my prescription from my political perspective on what's going on. Let's hear more from these Young Turks, or as I like to call them, the Young Turks. Let's hear more of their analysis of Patrick Bet-David and what he thinks about the tax system in the United States. Let's go and hear more from these right now.
In Congress are urging or pushing for higher taxes for millionaires. That's not a bad thing. Does it make you a hypocrite to be a millionaire who wants to pay higher taxes?
No, that's the opposite of being a hypocrite. That drives me crazy. They're like, look at this rich person who says that rich should pay more taxes. What a terrible, no, that's not a terrible person, that's a good person. That's not a hypocrite, that's a person saying, no, even when I am rich, I'm still in favor of a higher tax.
No, you idiot, you blubbering buffoon. These are all freaking hypocrites that are talking like that because they don't do a damn thing when they get into Congress or when they get into the, they don't do anything. They all talk about it. That's like Warren Buffett. Oh, you know what? Warren Buffett, Gates, all these guys, billionaires talking about that. We don't pay enough for taxes. You got to keep taxing the rich. Hey, nobody's stopping you from writing that extra $1 billion check to the government. Bill, Warren, don't you know that, Cenk? They wanted to. Every single freaking one of them hires what? Hundreds, if not thousands of attorneys, lawyers, tax experts to try to save every single penny that they can save from going to the freaking government. That's what these guys do all the time. That's what we all do. We all take advantage of whatever loopholes are out there for us. And if some people have better loopholes than we do, hey, get over it. Just part of life. Simple as that. I'm not going to cry me a river over that somebody else has a better tax loophole to keep their own money. Good for freaking them. I want to get to that same position. It's not my obligation for paying taxes. It's theft. It's legalized theft is what it is. We do it because we're supposed to, because we're being forced by law to do it. And I can understand, I want some of my money to go to tax. Yes, some. What do I think is fair? 10 to 15% probably, maybe 20. After that, screw you. But that's not the way our tax system is predicated upon. Fair tax, right? Have it out there, 1%, 3%, 5, 7, 10, 15, 20. That's good with me. Tear it up some levels. But this crap about almost paying 50, 60% by the time you had federal, state, local, municipal, locality, city, township, personal property, all this crap. Some people are paying 55 to 65% of their earnings in taxes. Just stupid. It's ridiculous. It's theft. You're stealing from us. That's what's going on. That's what Patrick Bet-David's talking about. Okay, so it's made for the rich. We all want to be rich. Nobody wants to stay poor all the time. Unbelievable. But yes, cry me a river. Talk about it all the time. Because it looks good to the what? To the rest of the folk out there. To the middle class. Hey, that guy, he's a millionaire. He's on my side. He's asking to pay his fair share. They never do. They're looking for loopholes just like everybody else is. Cenk. What a jank.
That's actually being principled.
So he makes a really interesting point in this video where he argues that our political system is broken, which leads to certain loopholes and deductions that the rich can take advantage of to dodge their responsibility in paying taxes to the federal government. We'll get to that in a moment. But he introduces the idea around 5 minutes into the video by recounting a now infamous confrontation between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And I'm guessing this is during the 2016 presidential election. I haven't seen this part of the video yet. Let's watch.
She says, you know, all the money and the tax loopholes, and he hasn't paid any taxes and all this other stuff. And then Trump says, I'm sorry, you've been here for 30-something years, and how come those loopholes are still there? He says, all your donors take advantage of the same loopholes I'm taking. Why is it if you care so much about middle America, you haven't done anything about it for 35 years? Most of the money's coming from rich people. But she gives them loopholes that, don't worry, you ain't gonna pay that kind of taxes. This loophole and that loophole and this, it's gonna save you all this money. It's gonna be okay. But I'm gonna get out there and trash the rich while taking all the super PAC money from you.
Trump was right. He was right about that.
No, absolutely. But wait, he's conflating two different things. First of all, Hillary Clinton.
Where were you guys when this was going on? I didn't hear you saying at that point Trump was right. Hey, you guys are a bunch of hypocrites too, a bunch of bloviating buffoons. And now this buffoon is gonna bloviate a little bit.
Is not in the same wing of the party as Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, and AOC. Those wings of the party fight. And so the Hillary Clinton wing isn't talking about taxing the rich. And if they do, they're totally lying.
So that is true. That is true. But I think it's important to also keep in mind that when it comes to campaigning, like think about campaign Obama versus actual Obama.
Oh, 100%.
Right? Campaign Obama is hope and change, and we need to close these tax loopholes. People need to pay their fair share. Once he's elected, campaign Obama goes away. Corporatist Obama is here to stay.
Oh, let's talk about retrospective. Let's go back in time. Now we're going to go back in time. Now you're going to say campaign Obama and corporatist Obama. Where the hell were you guys 8 years of Obama? Were you saying this at that time? I don't think so. Bring out the tapes. Show me the tapes where you were talking about, oh, here's campaign Obama and here's corporatist Obama. I want to see those tapes. Prove me wrong.
Right?
That is definitely true, and Obama is the best case of that. But again, the point he's making is ironic because he's saying, well, these politicians are liars and they don't actually want to close the loopholes. Well, I agree with that, but that doesn't mean we should keep them open. That means we should actually close the loopholes.
In fact, twice more during this video, PBD repeats that notion that yes, corrupt politicians have obviously rigged our tax system to the benefit of the rich and their wealthy donors, but there's nothing, but okay, so I don't want to put words in his mouth. Let's watch another example of him saying this in the video and then we'll respond.
As much as it's easy to say, well, the 0.01% doesn't pay that much taxes because they're no longer taking income the way they do, and they have better tax planning strategies behind closed doors that use the same codes that all these politicians claim don't want the rich to take advantage of. You came up with these policies. Yes, we can sit there and say, well, I don't think this is cool. Why don't we, raise the taxes on these guys? Fine. Then why don't we go back to when the tax code was only 6 pages back in 1913? Small couple pages, 100,000 pages today. Let's rip the whole thing apart. Let's start from the beginning. Let's get rid of all these loopholes. Well, no. It's going to impact some of you, by the way, just so you know that as well.
By the way, one of the politicians who purported to want to do away with those loopholes was Donald Trump. And in 2017, he did the exact opposite. He actually lowered the tax rate for corporations and the rich while
the reason he lowered the tax rate for the corporations was because we were one of the highest tax nations in terms of taxing corporations. If you want to start job creation, if you want to bring people to start up businesses, you want to bring overseas money that's outside interest, bring that money in to invest in the United States. Like Ireland has probably, I think, the lowest corporate tax rate out there right now. And why not do that? That's not a loophole. That's trying to bring businesses here to create jobs. And as far as bringing down, and they did, bringing down the taxable gains from, I think it was 31% or 30% down to 21% or 20%. That's perfectly fine. You know how many, what they call, you're always talking about how many people within the middle class or upper middle class. You know how many of them now have got their 501ks, their pensions, their IRAs, Roth, regular IRAs, in the stock market, in mutual funds? Do you guys have any clue as to the millions of Americans that have tied up their retirement savings into the stock market? And then you talk about repatriation. If they just keep that money overseas, there's nothing that's going to cause them to bring that money back to America. You have to give them some incentives. You want to call it a loophole? Call it an incentive. You want to use words? So if somebody says you've got billions of dollars over there, and say, guess what we're going to do? Instead of taxing you at the highest point for that money, you bring it back over, we'll lower it. We'll give you a tax holiday, but you got to do it at this point in time. Otherwise, it's going to go back up. Bring some of it back, or basically say, you know what, keep it all overseas. Of course it's going to, you've got to balance this.
keeping those deductions and loopholes in place, even though he promised he was going to close those loopholes. And he also claimed that he was going to simplify the tax code. That did not happen. It was made even more complicated. And a lot of people who are middle class workers, and in some cases just barely holding on to middle class, ended up paying higher taxes, especially if you end up living in high tax states like California, for instance.
So
yes, you know why they're paying more taxes? That part is true. You know why? Not because of the federal tax system. It's because of the state tax system. New York City's taxes, state, local, municipal, property. Same thing in California. It's not because of the federal tax system. You start adding on the state, local, and government. And I said locality, municipality, whatever it is, all these different blue states. That's why they're paying more of their taxes. That's why people are paying it. Not because of the federal rate.
I mean, we talk about the hypocrisy of Hillary Clinton. We're perfectly happy to admit that. We chose to even mention Obama here as being more hypocritical, and that's a sacred cow for Democrats. Let's see if the Republicans of the right wing are willing to do the same.
16 years
Donald
later,
Trump, all he did was serve the rich and giant corporations. So why didn't he take away any of the loopholes that they used to cheat? Why did he?
How come the average tax rebate went back to every American under the tax plan? How come every single demographic the amount of the unemployment rate for them dropped? Why was it that the median income went up, in some cases $7,500 extra? Wages went up when Trump was there. $7,500 during Bush, it was $400. During Obama, it was $1,000. Trump went up to $7,500 per person, folks, or per family. $7,500 in real dollars for millions of Americans under Trump. Do you talk about that? Of course not.
Did he keep them in there? Well, he kept them in there because he's also rich. And all of his donors are giant corporations and the wealthy. So Donald Trump not only did the same thing as Hillary Clinton, but worse, because he cut corporate taxes down to 21%.
Yes.
For his top donor, Sheldon Adelson, he brought repatriation tax down from 35% to 8%, so that Adelson could take the billions of dollars he had made in China with casinos in Macau and bring them back home at a time.
He made that. I just can't stand when people talk about this, okay? Why in the hell should the United States government tax you or any corporation for when you go overseas and build a business? It's none of their goddamn business how much money you bring over then. You didn't make it in the United States of America. So yes, you're gonna park it over there in the banks or wherever you're gonna park it over there. And if you bring it over here, you shouldn't be taxed on it at all as far as I'm concerned. The American government has no GD business grabbing that money from you. They didn't do a damn thing for you when you built that business overseas someplace. Now they want their piece of the pie for not doing a damn thing? The hell are you talking about? But because of the laws that are there, the American government says, you know what? I want to wet my beak. Got to wet my beak. I need a little slice of that. I need a piece of that. Not just a piece. I need a whole bunch of pieces. I need to really dip my beak in deep to get some of that money. Okay, so that's what the law is right now. And all he did was to say, you know what? You're going to keep that money over there? I can't force you to bring it over. But you know what? You bring some over or bring all of whatever, we'll reduce the amount of taxes you have to pay on it. Perfectly legitimate, perfectly fair. I don't believe in this fair share crap whatsoever. You pay what you're supposed to pay and not 1 penny more. Anybody wants to give more? Cenk, you want to give more? Have you done it with your company, your corporation, TYT? I bet you've got tons of lawyers that try to take advantage of every single freaking loophole. So don't be such a freaking GD hypocrite about this crap.
Tiny rates. That is the biggest loophole there is. And he did that for his donors because he's a corrupt bitch.
No, you're the
So let's
bitch,
be honest about the politicians, including Donald Trump. He's a fake populist. Doesn't mean a word of it. All he ever did was serve the rich.
Cenk.
So later in the video, PBD gets into this argument that we've heard many times before about how tax cuts are good actually, especially for the rich because they're the job creators. Let's watch.
It's a way to scare the crap out of billionaires, and it's a way to get the poor to say, yes, let's punish the rich. Let's punish the job creators. These are very bad people and evil people in reality. You punish them, you know who the hell's gonna create jobs? Who? They would much rather get up there and talk trash about the people who are actually willing to do the labor of risking their savings, risking everything they have to build a business, to create jobs for others. They don't wanna do that. If we can sit there and have a reasonable, fair conversation to not destroy job creators,
absolutely,
to give an opportunity for people to increase their lifestyle and call out the BS habits that some people have. If we can put that together, then we can work somewhere and start making some progress.
So look, are there people out there who go the extra mile and argue that the rich are evil and they focus on that more than the actual cogent argument that they should be making? Yes. I don't think that we're making that argument. The argument that I want to make is, no, I don't want wealthy people to be treated unfairly, but I don't think that it's fair for working class Americans to pay a higher percentage of their income toward taxes compared to the most privileged wealthy people in the country.
There she goes again. Again, with the percentage of the fair share, I just want everyone to be paying their fair share. I just want to make sure, because Americans are paying a higher percentage of their taxes, and compared to the uber wealthy, the uber rich, the tax loopholes, honey, let me tell you, mansplain something to you there, Anna. They're going to be there forever. You call them tax loopholes, I call them incentives. Everybody wants to get up to the level where they're part of the uber rich, the uber wealthy. And whatever tax advantage loopholes you can take advantage of now at your economic level, at your economic strata, absolutely go for it. Take every advantage of it. For those guys that are out there, as I said before, everybody can write a bigger check. You don't have to pay just what you have to pay. You can pay double, triple, quadruple. Do as you want, right? Talk is cheap. Walk the walk. First, you guys do it. Then we'll decide whether or not we want to do it. Anyways, we appreciate you taking the time to watch. You've been watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I've been your host, Dr. Nasir. If you haven't done so already, like, share, and follow us. Hit that notification bell. Take a look at our videos. The links are above and below. I'll leave you with my final thought, which is, when you're right, you're right. When you're left, you're wrong. Until next time, folks, take care and stay safe.